Add the horses to the top gallant yard as shown here. Tie an 850mm length of thread to the centre of the yard to form the tie. Thread the tie through the upper hole in the mast and pull the yard up so it is just below the top of the octagonal collar. Then drop the tie down through the hole in the main top. Tie the tie off to the port belaying pin, seal and trim the thread. To make the lifts, cut a 750mm length of thread, tie it to the mast just above the double blocks. Take the thread down through the blocks on the end of the yard and back up through the blocks on the mast. Tie the thread off to the rear shroud on the main top, repeat steps 7 to 9 on the other side of the model and tension both sides simultaneously. The braces, cut two 1050mm lengths of thread and tie a single block about 50mm from the end. Tie the blocks to the stay just below the mizzen mast cross trees. The long ends through the blocks on the ends of the yard, then bring the threads back through the blocks just fitted. Tie the threads to the 5th mizzen mast shroud from the front. Tension both sides together so that the yard stays straight. Take the crossjack yard and fit the horses. Swivel the blocks for the braces to face forward. Tie a 500mm length of 0.5 thread around the centre of the yard to form the sling. Prepare a parrel in the same way as the other parrels, using 8 ribs and 14 beads on two 500mm lengths of thread. Tie the parrel just inside one of the yard slings. Hold the yard in position just above the gaff boom. Feed the sling up through the holes in the mizzen top. Tie the sling around the mast cap using the same technique you used for the main and foremast yards. Tie the loose end of the parrel around the back of the mast and the other side of the yard. Rigging the crossjack yard. To make the lifts, tie two 650mm lengths of thread round the mast cap. Lead one out to port and one out to starboard. Feed the ends of the threads through gaps in the shrouds and then through the outer block on the end of the yard, picking gaps that give the threads a straight run to the blocks. Bring the threads back through the shrouds and to the blocks on the mast cap. Then take the threads down through the hole in the mizzen top. Secure the threads to the belaying pins as shown. Tension both sides together to make sure the yard is level, then seal and trim the threads. Fitting the mizzen yard. Tie the horses to the yard in the normal way. Tie a 650mm length of thread to the mizzen topmast to form the tie that supports the yard. Hold the yard in position and feed the tie through the double block on the yard, going from the back to front. Note that the main topgallant braces go behind the yard. Rig the double block on the mast to the block on the yard and pull the yard up as high as it will comfortably go. Tie the thread off to the aft eye bolt on the starboard side of the model. The parrel using 5 ribs and 8 beads. Tie the parrel to the yard, taking it around the mast. To make the lifts, tie a 750mm length of thread to the mizzen mast cap. Take this thread through the block on the end of the yard and back through the block on the mast cap. Tie this thread to the first shroud, then repeat steps 17 to 18 in your instructions on the other side of the model. Tension both lines simultaneously and make sure the yard stays square. To make the crossjack braces, cut 2 threads each 850mm long. Tie a single block about 50mm from one end. The blocks inside the main mast shrouds, attaching them to the fourth shroud from the front, 4 or 5 ratlines below the catapins, below the bottom of the staysail. Run the threads back to the blocks on the ends of the Crossjack yard, crossing them to run from the port shroud to the starboard yard arm and vice versa. Double the threads back on themselves and take them back through the blocks attached to the shrouds. Tie the threads off to the next to last main mast shroud, tension both sides together, then seal and trim the threads. Make the topsail yard braces, tie 2 800mm threads to the gaff boom by the top double blocks. Lead one to port and the other to starboard. Take these threads up to the blocks on the ends of the topsail yard. Double the threads back and feed them through one of the holes in the double blocks. Take them down to the taffrail and secure them to the inboard eye bolts.